going to be a fun episode. A lot of fun, good things to talk about this week. Let me start with chess. So, last week, the big thing that I learned was body language. It was like, if you want to be better at blitz online or just playing, sit up, don't sit back, all relaxed, kind of nonchalant. Like I said, I saw that in FIFA too. When I would sit up, I would play like 10x better than if I was sitting back. And I think some activities you can do more relaxed, but like blitz bullet, for example, you got to be sitting in. Now also training matches. I had 3 training matches this week. I think they were all good. One of them I focused on endgames. I did this position, 2 bishops and 8 pawns versus 2 knights and 8 pawns. The bishops did pretty well. We definitely saw a trend whenever the position got opened, the bishops would do way better. Like the knights would be doing okay, like chilling, and then once there was a big break, even if it like lost the pawn, the bishops really like transformed into a pretty big advantage. Now reading books, that is going to be the big thing for this week. My openings, I think I've got them down. My training, I've been doing it. Now it's time to really hit the books, and I think you can get a lot of good material for students from books too. So that's going to be a huge kind of like resource to transition into lessons. Now cutting out certain things, definitely. I'm trying not to do too much, I guess, like low level chess. Like teaching, even teaching my students now, it's becoming good training because I've been analyzing way more. I haven't been doing like material that I do for everyone. I will play with my students, like we'll do 10-minute games and we will analyze. I'll give them takebacks until they beat me. They feel really cool because they get to beat me at the end after like 15 takebacks. But since I'm analyzing so much, I consider that kind of still high level chess. But for example, like going to a chess club, for me, I don't think makes so much sense. I think if you're growing, you get to play people better than you, then it makes a lot of sense. But I think really just want to play against really high level people or really be able to analyze. And I don't know, maybe the motivation's just not the same. Maybe I'm just complaining. But like spending 3 hours on a weekday when I could be training or studying, I think is more worth the time for me. I don't know. Maybe it's a bad take on it. But I'm going to be trying to do that. Just very high level chess. Only high level chess right now. Because tournament season is coming up. I mean, I don't know about tournament season. February I have a couple. I think March, April, maybe in the air. Not really sure what tournaments are there. Actually, there should be some tournaments. But definitely by June, July, it's going to be full swing. That's when there's going to be a lot of tournaments. So that's the big season I'm getting ready for. Last year, got IM norms. Now I'm going to go for GM norms. That's what I got to go for. So that means openings got to be sharp. Got to know different openings. Endgame's got to be good. Forms got to be good. I think doing puzzles is really, really important. Because I'm seeing this a lot in my training games. Like I will get good positions, but I will not be able to find the finish. And while searching for the finish, I'll get low on time. And then what looks so promising kind of fades away. And that's all. It's not only demoralizing, but like your opponent gets more momentum. The position, I mean, sometimes the positions are hard. Like when you play these like good attacking positions, you get like 3 or 4 spots. If you don't hit these 3 or 4 spots, generally the attack is not going to work. Like it's a little bit easier to defend just because you only have one kind of goal. You only have one task. Where attacking, you have to be very, very creative. And that's why I think puzzles are very important. Like just practicing, like it's almost like drilling Jiu JItsu, but like very high level drilling. That's what puzzles are. Like now I can catch someone this because I've done this a bunch of times. So puzzles are there to help you get those finishes. And if you feel like finishing or like you're getting good positions but you can't find the breakthroughs, puzzles are definitely the way for you right now. That's how you're gonna kind of push through and finish off your opponents. Now another very interesting, super actually interesting thing I thought about and I discussed with one of my students is what percentage of the time do you think about chess when you're playing? Because I'm catching myself like a lot of times it's like 50% or lower, like even worse than that. Like that's why, like, cutting out certain things, like or playing without distractions, like having a podcast in the background while you play, playing with music. I think certain music might be okay, but if there's like a lot of lyrics, I think your head's going to be split both ways, and that is not an efficient way to play chess. Like, I think if you want to play chess, if you want to play at the high level, you can, like, when you're sitting there, you should be thinking about nothing else. You don't think about what you're going to have for lunch. You don't think about what you had yesterday. You don't think about what happened 3 weeks ago randomly. Like, you should be calculating moves. You shouldn't be thinking about business. Like, I think one of my students, he's got, like, a real estate company. And he told me, like, a lot of times I'm just thinking about that during the game and, like, crunching numbers. And I found when I don't do that, when I only think about the game, I play 1,000 times better. So let that be like a huge lesson, and something that I've seen like very recently. Like cutting out things and only think about the game, you see so much more. Puzzles get easier, games get easier. So okay, and one more point about that is I think that's what also hurts older players, because the older you get, the more things you have to think about. And I can't even imagine being 50 plus or 60 plus. Like that's me. It's 3 more lifetimes of me, of memories and things and decisions and whatever happened. So I think, and that's probably why kids can beat adults at this level, because the knowledge base is kind of similar, or I guess close enough, but the hyper focus, the amount of attention to the position is very off. Like, kids are only thinking about the game because it's new. You haven't been playing for so long, so the game is not like so slow where like your mind can wander. When things are new, like, you can only think about that. And then if you're older, then you have a lot more. You can let the body do the work. You can kind of autopilot or cruise a lot more, and then your head somewhere else. Even while you're playing a whole game, like, you can play a whole 2-hour game of chess without really thinking about chess. Like, that is 100% possible. You just make moves, like, you calculate, but like it's more just intuition. You're like, I feel like this is good. I feel like this is good. Boom, I drop a pawn. Like, you can do a whole 2-hour game, a 3-hour game, I think, without really thinking about the game. So if you want to get better, and this is something that I am really, really trying to work on, because another thing me and my friends were talking about is competing at chess tournaments. A huge percent of that we underrate is peak performance during the tournament. Like, are you in the best form? Because at some point, and I think we all see this, and you see this with fighters too, we know how to play chess. We know our openings. For the most part, our opponent's going to play something we haven't seen before. We're going to have to reevaluate. Like, very few times do you just get all the prep that you wanted, play the perfect round of tactics, and find the knockout. It's going to be a battle back and forth. And if you're not at peak performance, you're playing at a disadvantage. If you're not sleeping, if you have, like, I think I talked about this before, like, if you're coming off a breakup and you can't think about the game, or, like, for example, you have like a huge business deal, it's gonna be, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage because you have other stuff on your mind. So peak performance, and I think a big part of that is peak efficiency during the game. So that can be improved, and it seems like a pretty easy thing. All you gotta do is tell yourself, hey, I'm only thinking about the game. Hey, stay on track. Hey, stay on track. And on the same side, peak performance is just sleeping. It seems so simple, and there is some complexity to it because you're hanging out with friends, first time you see them in a while. But I think sleep and being professional is very, very important. And you can see, like, people who are improving at my level, I can tell that they are taking this seriously. They are sleeping. They're saying no to certain things. And I think that is a huge, huge way to improve in chess. Okay, so that's chess. Next, I want to talk about students. So right now, my students they're doing super well. The best example of this is my main man, Charley Chen. So Charley Chen, I've been teaching for like 2-3 years, and it's been a battle of getting him to practice. And I think for a long time, and a lot of it is my fault, I let it slide for way too long. I'd be like, next week you should practice. Next week you should practice. Come on, dude, you got to practice. And then just recently, I kind of put my foot down, and I said, if you don't practice, I'm not going to teach you. And then he wouldn't practice, and then I actually just didn't. I was like, I'm not coming because you didn't practice. I let him know that you got to practice, otherwise I'm not going to teach you, because practicing is very, very important. It's the way to get better. And the last 2-3 weeks, and his mom like has just been like being like the biggest driving force. Like, Charlie, you can do it, please, Charlie. Like, she's worked really hard, and finally, this kid has been practicing. And what do you know? He has gained like 200 points in the last 2 weeks. Like, all we have to do is break through that, get him to practice 3 times a week, and now he's playing. I think he played yesterday. I don't know how he did. He played on Friday, and I think he needed 50 more points, and he would break 1,400. And 1,400, I think, is a big thing for chess players. That's like becoming a purple belt. Like, becoming a blue belt in chess is 1,000, and a purple belt, I would say, is about 1,400, and then 2,000 would be a brown belt. But if he did well enough and he practiced, so I have a good feeling that he probably got those 50 points. I mean, you never know, we'll see. But it's great to see someone start practicing and then start getting results, because he was stuck for a while too. And a big reason was I wasn't being strict. I wasn't forcing him to practice. And now that he finally got the discipline, you're seeing results, which I think is very important. Now, another thing that's very important, and something I learned through Jiu Jitsu, and I'll get that when I get to Jiu Jitsu, is don't crush your students. Like, a lot of times I will play my students, and like, I wouldn't say like I crush them. I would definitely like not go 100%, but once I was winning, I wouldn't like give them takebacks. I would just be like, okay, learn how to play when you're losing. And that's a way to look at it, but it kind of sucks for the student, because once they're losing, they're just like, why are they motivated? They're like, well, I'm just gonna lose again. I mean, when you're that much better than someone at something, you're basically like a god, like, in comparison when it comes to fighting. Like, you can do anything. And this is how, like, I learned this in Jiu Jitsu, because I rolled with people that are better than me. And when they crushed me, I was just like, why? What is the point here? What am I trying to do here? When I roll with the coach, like, okay, I get some things here and there, but any second I know, like, I'm just going to die. I'm just like, it's over. And it just keeps happening. So what I do with my students is when they make a mistake, I make them write down what the mistake is. And that's another thing. Don't take notes for your student. I used to like be like, okay, I say something, this is important, and then I would write it down. Why am I writing down notes for them? They are the student. So make them do it, and they actually like it a lot more. They feel like they're learning because they're doing something. And sometimes I'll even catch my students, like, I'll say something and they'll learn something, and they'll be like, okay, I'm going to write that down. That is real progress, when they're actually looking to learn. So that is the kind of the progress that I'm seeing, like, not babying them, making them do the work, treating them like real chess players. Like, it's a win-win, because they get better. They know they're learning. Like, I can definitely see the confidence going up in my students, because they know that they're seeing the results. They're seeing, okay, I practiced this much time. I had these things to work on. I worked on these things. It was very specific too. Another, like, I think very good thing is specific makes things easier. Like, for me, I can just say, okay, practice, do this. Like, you're going to get better. But if I actually tell them to do this, this, and this, then all they have to do is do this, this, and this. Otherwise, it's just like, what should I work on? I think I should do this. I don't know. So being specific makes it very easy for people at lower levels to learn faster, 100%. And then definitely, like, asking questions. Like, I'm trying to teach them a lot of positional chess at whatever level they are. Like, if they're 800, they still know the bishop pair. They still know about strong side, weak side. Like, these are not some crazy topics where it's like, this is too complicated. Like, calculation, that can be too complicated for 600. Like, you don't have to find mate in 5 when you're 600. But you can see, like, if I make these pawns double, then that's a good thing for me and a bad thing for my opponent if he has double pawns. Like, that's not some complex topic. So they're learning positional chess. And another thing that I always ask them is why. Like, if you're going to do this, why? If you're going to trade pieces, why? If you're giving this check, why? Like, what I really want them to do and get to is eventually we're looking over their games and they say, hey, I traded here because this. Like, I don't have to ask them. Like, you should always kind of have you should always have a reason for every decision you make. So if you're going to trade a piece, you should be like, I am trading this piece because of this, this, and this. It gets harder when there's pros and there's cons on both sides, and that's what makes a chess player a good chess player. When you can evaluate knowing there's good and bad things for this decision and making enough of those decisions to win the game. That's what a grandmaster basically gets to. Just very good at making decisions. And I think that is why, if you're a grandmaster at chess, you're probably like pretty well off in life, as in like you understand, you have a good sense of, I'm not gonna say right and wrong, but like what works and what doesn't work. So your evaluation is very good. Okay, now how do I make sure students actually learn the lesson? So we write down these notes every class. They have like 10 to 12 notes every class. So definitely at the end of a month, I can see like the big problems that are showing up more and more frequently. Now, if it's something really silly that they're doing, like 3 games in a row they gave their queen, what I'm going to do to make sure they kind of learn the hard way is I'll tell them to write down on a piece of paper, I will not give my queen 10 times. And I mark that on the spreadsheet. So if it happens again, now they're going to write it 11 times. And at some point, after you write, I will not give my queen 50 to 200 times, you're going to really be focusing on, I'm not going to give my queen. And I think that's kind of like a cheat code to get people to learn lessons that are kind of simple, but they keep doing. Make them like have tangible consequences. Not something like, not like some $100 fine or like they get beat or something. But writing a lot, like that, I think that's a lesson that it's a good way to teach it, and it's not some huge punishment. And they understand it. Like they understand while they're writing this is why I'm writing it. It makes sense. I'm writing this because I made this mistake. It's not some cruel punishment. Now, sometimes I will do push-ups or like squats if they're being really silly. I think that's okay. Pretty sure. Now, the next thing that I need to do this week to kind of keep pushing lessons to a higher level is for openings, I want to make these quizzes. I actually already have these quizzes. I have these YouTube videos. I have these quizzes. I just need to find some kind of like program or some kind of outline for these guys to go through all the material. And then just kind of be serious about it. Like the timing is kind of weird. Do I make them take the quiz during class? Because then I feel like I'm wasting their time. But also I can treat it like a real quiz where like it's pass or fail. So that's going to be the big thing that I actually have to do like kind of today and tomorrow. Figure out how I'm going to incorporate my quizzes, tests, and YouTube videos. And then I do want to, and I guess this is the whole Wolf Chess University tie-in, have like a blue belt kind of regimen, a white belt regimen, a purple belt regimen. So this is kind of, it's like everything is kind of slowly tying together. It was kind of like step by step. I try to do the groundwork, I think, way too fast. But now I'm doing it organically through my students. So I think in about like a month, there should be like a very good program set up. And there will probably be a nice YouTube video to go along with it to explain everything, because it's going to be kind of complicated. But this whole white belt, blue belt, train 3 times a week, have the resources. Right now it's doing super well with my students, and it's still new. So once it gets organized, like I'm really excited to see what I can do with this. And then at some point I can probably just hands off, let it run by itself, and then just do like very short, like, hey, these are the questions, boom, 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 answer, next one. So really cool to see how this is going. Now, there are some cons with this. I mean, not really cons, but there are definitely students who are almost like self-selecting themselves to not be students anymore. Like, after 2 weeks, if I see that you haven't filled out the spreadsheet, I'm just not going to text you and ask for a lesson. And you're not going to text me and ask for a lesson, because you know that if you want to have a lesson, you got to do 3 days of training. And I make that super, super clear in the beginning, because that is the one thing that I really stand by. Make sure you practice 3 times a week. If you don't, I will not teach you. And and they will know that, so then it's out of my hands. I know the ones who want to practice, who want to train, who want to get better, and I know the ones who don't, so I don't have to chase them around and be like, are we having a lesson this week? Are you still playing chess? Blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, it's the best way to break up, because it's like, if you don't meet these qualifications, you know we're going to break up. So I don't have to like say anything, which honestly, now that I just thought about it, is like a really cool way to have a relationship. Like if these certain things don't happen, then we don't even have to talk about it. Like we're just not going to be together. Or like you have a chance to explain yourself, but if I continue to see these qualifications aren't met, then we're just going to be broken up. It's not like I have to have this conversation with you. It's like, you know. So, I mean, maybe this is the next application of this. That once I get a girlfriend, or I guess, well, a wife is a little bit different, because I really believe, like, once you're married, you're married. There's no other way around it. But girlfriend, it's like, all right, we have these things that we really care about. If neither of us meets these, then we just break up. So, I don't know. That's a very interesting tangent. And then last thing, just planning ahead, I think is always good, smooth. Don't do things last minute. That's going to be another big idea here. So planning lessons ahead, planning if I'm not going to be in town, letting them know well in advance is going to make things just better. And actually, like, last thing I want to say about students is, and I didn't even notice this kind of until today, but I've just been like, and it's ironic that I'm wearing a hoodie now, but I've been just dressing better for my lessons. Even if they're online, I put the camera on, I'm wearing a nice button-down shirt, I'm really taking it professionally. That way they know, like, hey, this guy's taking his lessons. And then you don't have to put the camera on. I just wanted you to know that I'm sitting here, I have nice clothes on, and I'm teaching you chess. So this time is very valuable, and I'm taking your money very seriously. So that's something that I've been doing, and I mean, just overall, I think being very professional with everything has improved. And the consistency, I mean, so far so good. That's another thing I'm just focusing on. Make sure you stay consistent. And actually, you know, last thing to say is I'm going to learn a lot of things on the fly too. Like, you can't plan for everything. Like, when you have an idea, when you're trying to do something, there's going to be some bad things that come up, but there's going to be a lot of good things that come up too. You're going to find more efficient ways to do certain things. And that is actually, it almost feels like a superpower. Like, I love it, because now you're seeing this thing grow, and that is just going to motivate you to do an even better job. Like I said, I see my students doing better. I want to do more things to help my students get better. But if you're getting stuck, you got to change something. Make sure you change something. Okay, so that's enough for chess and then chess students and teaching. Now, stand up. Stand up was a lot of fun this week. Like, I mean, knock on wood, but I've had like 4 or 5 good sets in a row. So it's almost like I can invite people to come watch me do stand up. Like, I remember in the beginning, I would invite people and I would do terrible. Like, I would do not good. And it would just be like awkward after. They were like, so what's going on? And I think I actually invited 2 people. I didn't invite 2 people, but I knew 2 people, and they watched my stand up and they thought I did good. And just the last couple open mics, like, people have come up to me after and told me I've done good. So I'm starting to believe that I can invite people. I might even post locations before I go. That way people can come check me out. Now, a big shout out that I want to give is I heard Louis C.K. on Joe Rogan, I think about a week ago. And he said a lot of good things. And this helped my stand-up a lot. Like, the first thing that he kind of just sat on the side, it wasn't like a huge topic, but he was like, he had this person that opened for him, and he told her to get rid of, like, the nervous laugh after you say a bit. Like, and this happens a lot. Like, you'll say a bit, and you'll be like, or, and that's a bad thing. I mean, sometimes it happens, and I still do it a lot. I'm trying not to, but Louis was just like, just sell the bit, say it, practice a bunch, say it without the laugh, it's going to be better. And I do notice when you just say it, when you say it clean, it's definitely more efficient. And if you look at the guys at the top who do this stuff, like Bill Burr and stuff, they just say it. They don't have this nervous laugh. I mean, sometimes they have a little bit, but a lot of times they just say what they say. So that was one thing. Now, this misdirection, like, Louis C.K. has this great bit, but maybe. Like, he starts one place and says, but maybe, and then takes you another place. And that's something that I tried this week. And obviously not the same words or the same bit, but the same kind of concept. Like I said, divorce is terrible. Divorce is the worst. But maybe if you were Mrs. Bezos, it's not that bad. And then I had a couple examples where I wrote some like misdirection. And another misdirection thing that you can use a lot is just like words that mean 2 different things. That's a great way to kind of write jokes. Like, one of the ones that I was doing a lot was Jiu JItsu. Like, I like Jiu JItsu. To get better at Jiu JItsu, I started saving money, because if I was more Jewish, I'd get better at Jiu JItsu. So that's one of those play on words where Jiu JItsu is a martial art, but Jiu can be too. I don't have to explain it. I'm being an idiot. But that's an example of misdirection, and definitely, like, the writing has been pretty good, and the memorizing has been good. So the flow has been pretty good. So it's been smooth, like seamless, like just straight sets. I actually have missed, I think, one tag on one bit, like just multiple times. Don't know why. Actually Wednesday, I don't know why, but I was like super nervous. Like, I think the crowd was like maybe the biggest one, which is way bigger than usual. And when I rewatched the recording, like, I didn't actually talk that fast. I talked fine, but and then, yeah, this is, okay, wait. So when I got to the open mic, the mic fell and broke. So that already got me a little bit rattled, and I was nervous. So I thought at the beginning I was talking way too fast. But it was okay. And then eventually, like, I got into the bit that I've done before, and and then it went smooth. And then another thing that I want to talk about is, like, these like something, like, sometimes random stuff happen, and you're like, I don't understand why people are laughing at this, but everyone's laughing at it. So then I have to be like, should I try this again? And you can try it again, and as long as it's like close enough, like, you'll see, like, if it's funny, I guess it's funny. Like, one thing that I said, one of my jokes is about how, like, the white guy eats all the cake, and he's probably British, and white people think that, like, Indian people are really mad at British people. Like, we actually got some beef. Like, I don't know, I'm Indian, I don't care nothing about British people, but when I say this joke, like, there's a pause, and then everyone is like, and then the people just laugh, and they, like, laugh a lot and pretty, like, convincingly. I don't know why. They think there's some beef with Indian people and British people. So that was one of them. There was another bit. Wait, I can find it. I don't even know why. I forgot the the word for it. All right, perspective. Another, like, so I'll be like, okay, next bit, and then I'll be like, I want to talk about perspective. And every time I say perspective, people laugh, like, a lot. And, like, even, like, the last time I was on stage, I was like, why do you guys think this is funny? And then I think I kind of, like, took the energy out a little bit. But there were still some even laughs after that. And it's just, I want to talk about perspective. So that's the randomness. Like I said, how, like, random good things happen. When, like, bad things you don't plan are going to happen, but good things you don't plan are going to happen too. And then if you replicate that, it's like, I don't know, it's like you, like, upgraded, like, you get, like, a better weapon now. Like, now you can use this. You add another tool to your arsenal. So that's another cool thing about stand-up comedy. Another thing is, and I can tell this with, like, the people, like, I have a friend who's, like, new, and kind of the difference you can tell between, like, I think a comedian, I'm not gonna say I'm a comedian, but, like, someone who's really good and someone who's really new, is one person's kind of talking and everything they say sounds good, but there's never, like, this is where I'm gonna actually laugh. Like, this is not like a haha moment, you know? It's like I like what you're saying, I like what I'm hearing, but none of it's gonna make me, like, burst out laughing. So that's where I think, like, writing your material is really good, and trying to find, like, what makes people laugh, really trying to study it. So I think that's a thing that you see between, like, people who are, like, really good and people who are starting off, just, like, knowing how to make people laugh and writing and catering towards that. Okay, last thing I'll say with stand-up is I have a fan. I officially have a fan. This guy came to open mic on Thursday and was like, dude, you were so good last week. I came back to see you. And I was like, no way, dude. I officially have a fan. And there was this British couple who just, like, were at the open mic. They didn't know it was an open mic, and they were like, oh, cool, there's an open mic, we'll check it out. And then, like, we left at the same time, so I talked to them after, or I guess my friend was talking to them, and I was just, like, saying bye to my friend, and they were like, dude, you were really good, like, your set was really funny, something. I talked to them for a little bit, and then, like, I was smiling for a while, I'm not gonna lie. Like, when you see that progress, because when you take those beatings and you finally break through, I ain't gonna lie, that's a good feeling, dude. Like, 6 months ago when I was, like, bad, like, there was definitely a time where I was bad, And like every time I came back, I was like, bro, what am I doing? This is stupid. Like, why am I doing this? And then now, like, it's like, say, like 6 months later, definitely I'm not good, but at least like I feel like I'm winning these games. Like that's how it feels like. And then I think the last thing that I'm gonna say about stand up, and I don't know if this is the last time I said this, but recording, editing, like taking it seriously. Like I think being professional is just the way to do it. Like if you want to see yourself get better faster, if you want to see tangible results, be professional. So, and it's been hard. Like sometimes I don't want to record. Like sometimes I get there late and there's like not a good spot. Like the place I went on Wednesday, like I was sitting in the back of the room. I mean, you can see me a mile away. You can hear me pretty well. So thank God the audio was good. But I mean, I'll be sitting there in the beginning, like not wanting to record, being like, dude, it's fine. Like you don't need to record. But then thank God I record because now I have stuff I can put on YouTube. So I'm also making a YouTube channel, daaron.3, where I'm just going to put the clips from open mic, like the highlights, not the whole thing. Because there's definitely some unfiltered stuff is not the best. Not that they're like the stuff I'm not showing is not like good. Like there's definitely some good stuff in there. There's just a lot of bad stuff. So I'm just trying to put the highlights there. I think at some point I will be able to put a whole set there, but for now let's do like one clip from each. And they're gonna be pretty good. Like these clips I'm pretty happy with. I thought they were really funny. Now one thing that really came randomly in stand up is I had this bit about cheesecake. And I knew that, like, if you change your voice, if you change your inflection, like, you're going to get a laugh. But my accents are terrible. And then randomly I was like, dude, I can do the Batman voice. I've watched Batman a million times. So I changed to the Batman voice for the bit. And it's genius. It's great. It's super fire. All right. So that's it for stand-up. Record, promote, put it on YouTube, get subtitles, do it as professional as possible. And I can definitely feel like I'm going to get better faster. Stand-up is right now the one I'm feeling the most progress in, but it's good because now I'm super motivated just in general. So that is why I like doing like a bunch of different things, and maybe I'll add that at the end to life. But you can get motivation from certain progress in certain areas where, like, if you're stuck in one thing and you only do one thing, like, life is just kind of hard. So use motivation from one. One day, like, one of them's gonna you're gonna get different progress spots, and imagine, like, at one point, like, if everything is firing on all cylinders, imagine that feeling. Imagine stand-up's good, Jiu JItsu good, boxing good, my students are good, chess is good, all at the same time. Like, I probably could fly at that point. Okay, so that's enough with stand-up. So Jiu JItsu and boxing, and this kind of really ties in with why I've been being more educational with my students, is Monday first day of the week, I went and I rolled with the coach first, got dismantled. Then I rolled with this blue belt who's bigger, stronger, and knows way more. He's basically a purple belt. And basically at one point he's just sitting on me, and I was like, dude, I can't move. and he was like, oh, and this is what I hate the most in the beginning, that he's always like, all right, dude, we're just going to flow, take it light. I'm going to give you some resistance. Some resistance. You know how much that, like, I think about that while we're rolling. Just the word some resistance as he's like picking me up and throwing me in the air. Like, come on, bro. Like, that's why I've been taking it easy on my students, because I hate it. I do not like getting ragdolled, like, just thrown around everywhere. Like, if you, like, I know you're better than me. You know you're better than me. And I know it's like the military hoo-ha way to learn about it. Just keep getting your ass whooped until you get better. But instead of whipping my ass, put me in a bad position and tell me what you would do. Like, that's what I'm really going to, like, when I go this week. And I'm not going to lie, I did take the last week off. I mean, stuff came up. I was busy Tuesday and Thursday. I could have gone Wednesday, Friday. I don't know why. I mean, I had a bunch of stuff to do, to be fair. But that beating on Monday, it took a little bit of brushing of my teeth to get out. But I'll be back on Monday, and if I roll against these behemoths again, I'm going to be like, hey, man, like, when you got me here, can you tell me what to do? Like, if not, then I can't figure it out for myself. Like, all right, I mean, I can try, but I'm bad. You're good. Like, please help me. Otherwise, like, I'm going to be taking all these beatings. I don't need to be taking all these beatings. Like, I want to do it the way I'm doing stand-up right now. Like, yeah, I took beatings, but I found an efficient way to kind of, like, get better faster. And I want to do this with Jiu JItsu too. And I want to do this with chess too. Like, I don't want to be sitting there for 3 years taking beatings. I want to take beatings for 1 year, but beating is in a way where like I learned the same amount of stuff in 3 years. So that was one thing. I mean, something I'm learning from some just watching boxing, and I guess doing it too, is power definitely comes from your legs. Like when you're boxing, you almost whip your shoulders and you plant with your legs, but you gotta be moving. And the way you move is like people say it's like a snake. I think it's even more better. It's like a mongoose. Like you want to move like a mongoose, like dart, like circle, 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 strike, strike, circle, 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 strike, strike, and then you can circle back and forth too. Like you want to be fast. You want to evade. No one wants to get hit. I ain't trying to get hit. I'm trying to move. And people like to be like, if you're big and strong, you put your hands up, you take a beating, and then you counterpunch. Great, go for it. But I'm a stick and move. I'm a circle. I'm a cycle, and then I want to have a good ground game. I mean, at some point I gotta learn takedowns. I don't know if I'm gonna be shooting doubles and singles. Like trips seem really cool. Like if I can get clinches and trip people, that would seem like the move for like taking people down. But 100%, I don't want to stay on the feet with people. I would definitely like to take people down and submit them if it came down to fighting. So, another thing I've been watching is with boxing. Like I've been watching a lot of knockouts, just trying to study like when do knockouts happen the most. And generally what you see is the overhand right is definitely the most common KO. People step in and just throw that overhand right. Their opponent's got their head in the air. Generally the hands aren't up. And it's just lights after that. Another thing that you see is the person who's getting knocked out is either like on the back foot, like head high on the back foot, or they're coming in and they get caught with like some kick or some uppercut or a knee. You see a lot of knee knockouts. So something you can kind of take away from that is like if you're coming in and you're gonna dip your head, you gotta really be mindful of those hooks and those knees. I mean, the knees are killers. The knees look like you could die. If you get hit by one of those knees, just clean in a flush. But also, if you're gonna be back, make sure like you're out of range. Or if you see him step, you gotta step too. But if you stay right there, if you don't move, you're gonna get starched. So it kind of is like a dance, but like move, and when you see them move, especially if they're gonna plant, if you see the head dip and a plant, move out of the way, move to the side, because people don't really throw overhand rights like so far off that they're trying to miss. They're trying to throw them straight. So the second you see them come straight, circle out. And circling 100% is the safe way to go. Going back straight is okay too, but if you mistime it, you can get caught. And if you don't go back, if you just stay there, that's how you get starched. So something I've been seeing with knockouts. Another thing that I've definitely felt is the top half of my body gets fatigued way faster than the lower half of my body. And I think that's because I work out the top half way more. And like, I mean, I work out like biceps, chest, like to look good. I do like the celebrity muscles. And that's not, I guess that's not the way to work out. You want to work out every part of your body. And I have been doing more legs, but I think I need to do like back. I need to do like other stuff. I need to rotate it more. Because I'm definitely feeling like, and even when I'm jumping rope, it's like my legs don't get tired. It's always my shoulders and my arms. Those are the first ones to go. Or like when I do Jiu JItsu, my shoulders are dead. They're just like melting. So that's one thing. Now, one thing that I am thinking about is getting vitamins or AG1. I just want to try to maximize my body and what I can do right now. And I see a lot of people in the YouTube channels I watch take it. So that's something that I am curious into exploring and seeing how it goes. Now, last thing, let me just talk about life real quick. What's going on? Hattie B's fried chicken is so good. It's like, amazing. And I get to shut the cluck up, and I love it. I love how spicy it is. It hurts so good. I got to swish around ice. It's delicious. But, man, I just going to the bathroom after is just terrible. I can't do it anymore. Like, I might be too old for this. That's what I'm starting to think. I know, it sounds crazy. I love spicy food with all my heart, and I won't never eat spicy food again. But, like, twice in a week, no way. It's got to be, like, once, 2, 3, 4 weeks, once a month, once every 2 months. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'll go all the way in. I'll go to hell. I'll I'll sit there. Like, I remember I ate Hattie B's and I had an open mic after, and I was just like, dude, I do not feel good, man. And, like, luckily I rallied, but, mean, it's just not a good feeling. So, spicy food, I love you. You're amazing. But I don't know if I can just do it all the time, you know. Now, being thrown off schedule, that's another really annoying thing. Like waking up late or having something unexpected come up, it sucks. And I think what makes it worse is we give ourselves the excuse that we're off schedule, so we go more off schedule. Like, there's normally one thing that throws us off schedule, and then if we went to peak efficiency after that, that would be the only thing that throws us off schedule. But then what happens is we're like, oh man, this threw me off schedule, so now I'm behind. So now I'm gonna take this more slower, or now I'm like wasting time and not just focusing on catching up. And now we're even more off schedule, and then things compile. Once you got 2 things, then the third thing catches. Now you're at 4 or 5, and your days, like, you spent your whole day kind of catching up. So this excuse of being thrown off schedule, I think, is one that we just gotta tell ourselves, like, hey, this is what threw me off schedule. This is all that's throwing me off schedule. Now my number one goal is to get back on schedule, and then after like I catch up and I have some time, then I can relax. Then I can say something. So I mean, it's basically just being more professional with it, like being an adult, being a man, like. But these are things that I'm learning and I think are very important, and hopefully I can learn them so I can tell people this is what I did and now I'm here. Okay, planning in advance, another great thing. Of course, planning in advance is always good. And once again, it's just a conscious decision, something that I need to get better at. But I mean, doing this podcast 3 weeks in a row, pretty much on the dot, on the money. Planning has gotten better. Dressing has gotten better. Being on time has gotten better. Another big thing is being on time, to the best you can. If you gotta go to bed early, you gotta go to bed early. Find a way to do it. I was talking this about a little bit in stand-up, but results definitely are motivating. Like, when you see yourself doing good in one thing, you're going to wake up with some more energy. You're going to be more motivated to do stuff, and that's going to carry out into the other stuff that you're not as motivated to do. And that's very important, is not dropping off in one area and excelling in another. So definitely kill the excuses. Gotta kill the excuses. Even when you're doing good stuff, there's still going to be excuses, and you'll be like, well, I'm doing good stuff, so it's okay if I do this. But if you want to be Kobe Bryant, and rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, it's crazy. Actually, that's what I'm going to name this episode for sure. Mamba Mentality, Kobe Bryant. But, he died 3 years ago this week, which is insane. I can't believe it's 3 years ago. That blows my mind. It felt like a couple months ago. A year, not even a year ago. If you asked me when Kobe Bryant died, I wouldn't even. If you told me it was less than a year, I wouldn't be surprised. But I watched some Kobe videos this week, and I think that's really what got me motivated. And just that man was an assassin. That man was a ninja. That man, the way he broke it down. And what really blows my mind is he had his ninja mindset at the age of 13. He was like, all right, I got to work on my middle game, so I'm just gonna do that. Then I'm gonna work on my end game. And I know this is a long-term thing. This is not a short-term thing. All I got to do is get better at this, get better at this. And this man would break down footwork. He'd break down everything. He was a true assassin when it came to this, a gangster, a samurai. So shout out Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. And that's been I think it's really just carried me through. You can see it in the different things I do this week. But just this Mamba mentality, this motivation from Kobe Bryant. And that's why you don't drop it in another area. If you want this life, then you asked for this, then you got to do what you said you wanted to do. To achieve whatever goal you want, you know what you got to do, and if you don't do it, then it's just dissonance. You're saying one thing or you're doing another. So just because I'm not getting results in one, you still show up the same amount of times. In every single aspect, in every single area, and eventually you'll see results. And I see this with the students too. 1 week you see results, the next week you stagnate. But if you keep showing up and you keep constantly trying to learn, you will get better 100%. So that's definitely, I think, a very nice way to end it, just with Kobe Bryant. I mean, it's a good time right now. A lot of good stuff. I mean, it's very cool doing all these things. So I'm very excited to see where things go. So, yeah, Mamba Mentality, Kobe Bryant, and let's get it. Hope you guys are entertained. 45 on the dot.